A short week of practice for the Alabama Crimson Tide, now putting in their final preparation for Nick Saban's alma mater, that is Kent State, and some big questions going into this game. And for that, I bring in Michael Casagrande on campus right now in Tuscaloosa. And Michael, let's start with that Tony Brown suspension. You've been covering that since it happened last season. Take us back to the beginning and what we have learned since yesterday.
Now, it's a confusing situation going all the way back to the Cotton Bowl with Tony Brown being suspended for that game, and then the college football championship game. The latest yesterday, Nick Saban saying that they have a verdict from the NCAA. They know what the suspension appeal is, the verdict, but they just can't tell us. It's one of those things where the NCAA is, it's an interesting place to deal with. So I wouldn't expect to see him out there Saturday against Kent State, but you might see him sooner rather than later.
Yeah, yesterday Nick Saban even a little confused as to what he could tell us during that press conference. Now, when we talk about the offensive line, Nick Saban making some adjustments against Ole Miss last week. What do you expect to see this weekend? He said this offensive line remains under evaluation.
Right. No, it's mostly the interior line. It's the two guards, the center combination. The two tackles have been very good so far with Jonah Williams and Cam Robinson. But I'd expect to see Alphonse Taylor back at the right guard, Ross Piercebacher at the left guard, and Bradley Brosman at center. It wasn't perfect. Obviously, the sack fumble that caused the 24-3 deficit, that was a blown block by Alphonse Taylor. But he's still in his first start. It was there were better running game. I expect to see the same offensive line try to build some cohesive group moving further into SEC play.
Now, Michael, we know these games are perfect for getting young guys, some of the backups in there, to get some reps and experience. Who do we expect to see that we haven't seen maybe as much of in the first 3 weeks of the season?
No, it's interesting. There are a couple of different places. The receivers, you expect to see Trayvon Diggs a little bit more. The guy had been going both ways, playing some safety, playing some receiver. Nick Saban said you expect to see more of him, especially with the injuries to Ardarius Stewart, to Robert Foster. So you'd see more of him. Cam Sims is a guy who's been around for a few years, but you see probably increased role at receiver. And then the running backs, didn't see B.J. Emmons last week, the true freshman. Saw more of Joshua Jacobs, the other true freshman. So I'd see a heavy dose of those guys, because these kinds of games, they're trying to run the clock down. They're not trying to make it last too long. So I'd see a healthy dose of those guys, maybe Aaron Robinson, some of the safeties, the cornerbacks. There'd be definitely some different guys mixing through there in the secondary. So it's a kind of day where Nick Saban doesn't want to talk about it being a day for experimentation, but definitely is. With a team like Kent State, that's definitely not up to the SEC caliber.
Yeah, we know about that all too well. For any updates on the Alabama Crimson Tide and more of Michael Casagrande's reports, visit us on AL.com.